Welcome to our best 5, starting off on Fountainhead. Let's see what we can get happening here as we kick this one off in the bottom right-hand corner of the map. We're going to start off with the blue Terran player. This is Cure. Taking on our red Terran top left-hand side. INnoVation from KaiZ Gaming. As we get ourselves ready for this series. INnoVation beating Rogue. Which of these two will champion Korea and which will get the chance to fight Showtime to be the overall champ? Come on, Inno. Yeah, is it fair we can just cheer for Inno here? This is probably his last ever WardiTV tournament. I mean, well, it absolutely will be. I'm 90% sure about that. It's his last WardiTV tournament. Go out with a bang. Go out with one more win. We believe in INnoVation, right, guys? That's fair to say. I think that's fair to cheer on INnoVation given the circumstances. Let's go, INnoVation. Bit of TvT. They did play in the group stage, and I believe Cure bopped him in the groups. Yeah, Cure 2-0'd INnoVation was the starting match of the tournament. It was pretty clean. It was pretty simple. Cure didn't really mess around. There wasn't really much to add on about that series, actually. It was, like I say, it was really just simple and done. Cure looked like the better TvT player, so hoping INnoVation comes up with a little bit of something here for this this round. Would be a shame if he was not to. Oh man, it is honestly bittersweet. Just to know, just in his again, like I say, definitely think his last WardiTV event. My next plans to run something for Korea will be probably during DreamHack, which is probably when INnoVation is already looking to leave. That's kind of crazy. Ay. Let's see if we'll drop down a command center here as we get ourselves established. You can see the Reaper on Reaper action coming through initially, and INnoVation will disengage. Doesn't want to commit in too far for that. Knows that that can go very badly wrong if he does. 2 Reapers on the way from Cure, so his follow-up here is going to be rather aggressive, actually. When you go into this like double Reaper follow-up, it's you know, you're basically going to end up with a lot of Reapers very quickly. So, I mean, you can, of course, cut Reapers too and slow this down a little bit. But typically, you're going to just be outbuilding your opponent on Reapers really quick. So, something we're going to start seeing as these Reapers come through. Grenades will begin to go down. A few Reapers in the Hellion here are going to come in for a Reaper as well. So, picking up some good damage across the board so far. SCVs do go down, and again, Reaper Hellion just joining back up in the center. Queens and Reapers all coming through. Everything getting going at the moment. Here's our medevac, so there we go. As I mentioned, definitely likely that Cure just outbuilds INnoVation on the early game, and then hence you try and use that to your advantage. He's even going to build 2 Reapers beyond the 5, so he's going to go to... Okay, cancel does. I was going to say 7 Reapers is almost overkill. Because they're not going to be here for the first medevac, and then they're going to reinforce, and they're just going to show up too late to usually do anything in this situation. They're going to make their way up the left-hand side. The Reapers are going to kind of make their own way up over here. They're just going to sit on the left. On the right side, a medevac of Hellions will go. So it's actually going to be a bit of a multi-pronged attempt here from Cure. Going to try and come in from 2 different directions rather than just going for the one all-out attack, which, again, he's kind of got the numbers to potentially make that happen. So let's see. Marines and a Cyclone in the natural. A Cyclone in the main base. Yeah, I can see the potential on it for sure. The Cyclone's going to get a lock on. The Hellions will just unload. Again, their goal is to obviously go after SCVs here no matter what. That's a few of them, as now these other Reapers are going to start hopping up into the natural, and everything's gone from the natural. Love the grenades too, because it's going to push the SCVs back into the Reapers, so it's a really cool play from Cure. Very well executed. Everything gets cleaned out of the main, and 1 Reaper will go down here as well, but 7 workers killed. Not a bad start, but you've got to remember as well, Cure put a lot of investment into this early. So that's a lot of his money initially here, just already invested, already now kind of gone. And you know, that was his kind of build. You know, all these Reapers at the end, they don't do too much on the follow-up either. So while it was nice for Kua, it still was an investment, and we've got to remember that too. Now, again, an extra SCV or two and force more lost mining time. Anything extra obviously goes a little bit further. INnoVation is immediately ready to move out and counterattack, so he is not going to waste any time at all heading off down to the bottom right side and getting set up. So away we go. Marines attack the 2 Ravens. All down through the center here. The couple Cyclones setting up. Everything from Kua is again joined up out on the natural. Cyclones. And moving forward here as the auto turrets go down en masse on either side. The tank fire is decent as well. Just gonna see that Cyclone getting a lock on that Raven. Gonna get chased away. That shoo just doesn't go down. Okay, well, INnoVation doesn't really gain much from this. He still has a bit of an army supply advantage, but without the Raven power to help us through, he ain't breaking that position. He very much so knows it. Hence, he's gonna pull this away, pull this back up to the upper left, while he is building his third base on position. That's nice because, you know, his opponent is not in position, but his opponent is also faster than his. So Kira seems to be, for me, just taking every advantage, and soon that army, that work account lead is going to turn into an army lead as well. It's going to catch him back up an army, and, well, yeah, then the game obviously might just be Q's advantage all over. What are the upgrades looking like? INnoVation's actually a little faster on Stim. Engineering bays, not up at all for Inno though, and they are building from Kua, so yeah. Across the board, Kua is my preferred play at the moment. Full start of the game. I like these initial kind of aggressive attacks in TvT. I think they're very fun, and they're a very cute and low commitment way to kind of usually kind of mix the game up a bit, and they can absolutely be shut down hard and not get enough done, but they can also absolutely get shut down, you know, they can also absolutely kind of get out of hand and get way too much done. So, funny how that works in a couple of different ways as well, huh? There's a couple tanks moving forward here. We do see the units of Q still hanging around. 3 tanks are going to be setting up. Tanks down over here get set up. They're going to blow up a Marine already. Now going to make some progress on the refinery. Yeah, I like what Inno's doing. Making use of the map, making use of the positions, able to deny a little bit. It's a nice position, right? You know, you can take down a refinery, but you can't just, like, completely control the natural. I like that. I feel like that's a well-designed area. You know, you can benefit from being the aggressor, but not to a point where the game's completely unplayable for the defender. I like that. This position's kind of interesting, too, this idea of, you know, this is just a pathway between the natural and third. If you can take control of that pathway, that's going to be big. Either side scans. INnoVation have the slightly faster siege. Now we're going to anti-arm missile. Matrix went down on INnoVation's full energy Raven. Or is that the full energy one? No. The full energy one is actually still available here. He just doesn't want to do anything with it. His Vikings have to be careful, almost flying into Marines of his opponent. We're going to swing around left as the single Marine gets taken down. All these tanks sieging up. We're going to drop a bunch of auto turrets down as well. INnoVation really wants to break this position. His Vikings are going to get rid of, I think, all the other Vikings of his opponent. He's a little bit outnumbered. Okay, it's going to be like one-on-one at the very end, so Kua will win just about. I mean, overall being kind of cleaned up. What's really cool here is that Kua has 1-1, but 1-1 doesn't matter because INnoVation has just got such a tank dominating, you know, he's just dominating the tank count, right? That auto turret maybe came down a bit too soon. Tanks would have really covered a tank trying to get in position here. The auto turret could have come down or be saved for later. Marines are going to try and stim on in. Here we go. SCV's pulling into this as well. These tanks go so far back, though. I mean, the Marines continue through again. The combat shields, this 1-1 will help you to break out of this, but it's an expensive breakout. 2 Vikings land on top of a siege tank. They're actually going to get rid of it. Wow. Don't tell me these 2 Vikings get a chance to lift up and leave. They get 2 more SCVs as Kua takes a huge amount of damage. INnoVation comes out of this ahead on workers, ahead on army, if only just. Still playing catch-up on the 1-1 upgrades. Starts up his 4th base, obviously killed his opponent's build in 4th during all of this as well. INnoVation comes out with a lead if he can deny the immediate counterattack, which I think is only really going to be strong because of that 1-1 advantage. Let's see if he can put that 1-1 advantage into use. As the Marine tank turns back around from the center, we pull it away a little bit. 1-1 going to be finishing here then from INnoVation with the 2-2 already started from Cure. The natural expansion as well. Like I say, game settles down a bit now. It's going to be seeing INnoVation ready for the next push. This is going to be the next round of aggression. I love that Inno still has a Raven alive as well. The power that one Raven even gives you, just one Matrix, one anti-arm missile, could be absolutely engagement changing. Can completely turn just an engagement that should be more even into one that completely overwhelms your opponents. It's just having that Raven kept alive is a big, big advantage. Kira's going to see Inno moving up here. He's going to start a siege. Inno's going to siege obviously much later. Actually, Kira only dropped one tank siege up initially. Oh, Inno, not quite the moment he was looking for. He wasn't quite aware of the fact that Kira was actually pretty in position, right? It's kind of a cool setup because Kira was only just up here, so actually defending this ramp was not too much of a problem for him. Looked like it might have been tougher initially. INnoVation gets out fairly scot-free though, right? I mean, he doesn't lose the siege tanks, his Marines didn't die too much. That wasn't so bad, as INnoVation will just maintain the fourth base advantage, that being up and mining, the slight worker lead. And again, it's just over time, he's going to slowly turn that economic advantage into an advantage on the map with the army, providing he can continue to take reasonable trades here and not throw an army away too early or anything along those lines. Medevacs move up that right-hand side. But tanks on siege, going to press on forward. Marines still setting up as well. Marine tank going to start moving through. Going to aim for the sense tower. INnoVation's defense, a tank already in position. A decent amount of Marines here. He was down a little bit on 2-2, and he will have the same issue on 3-3 when it gets to that stage, as INnoVation makes a run. Now Q is the one that kind of has to turn back up this ramp. INnoVation might be able to do something with this. I mean, the tanks just got sieged up now. I think INnoVation wants to back away to his tanks. He didn't start a siege, though. I don't like that fight from INnoVation. I feel like even if you just siege here as INnoVation, it could have been huge. Now he's got to drop off and fight these Marines, which intercepted. Oh, beautiful army movement from Kira. Now I know loses all of the tanks. I really don't understand why his tanks didn't siege in the previous fight. If he was going to push in, why didn't he want the tanks sieged up at all? Kira is going to clean up big time. Huge catch from Kira. I mean, that is just a game changer, right? Kira doesn't even have he has like one tank here. It's just pure Marines. I think it's going to get the job done. I really think INnoVation could have sieged. I mean, obviously hindsight is everything, but even in the moment, I thought he should have sieged and committed to it. It's going to be seeing the 3-3 coming through, plus two vehicle weapons coming up as well. Move over to the right-hand side. A couple of tanks will on siege. Continue to push up to the top. He's going to spread out, trying to fight on in. I mean, again, this should be Kira's fight. INnoVation gets rid of the tanks, which might be able to sustain him in the game, especially if Kira overcommits into tanks. So yeah, Inno might be able to stay alive with this. Of course, Kira's already taken an advantage on the back. He's taking a fifth base behind all of this, and that's something INnoVation is not doing. So now it's Kira's chance to take that advantage. I tell you what, Kira has so many low HP or low energy medevacs. But a lot of these medevacs just aren't really doing much, but INnoVation runs out of Marines towards the end. Now he has to use his tanks to try and fight. I mean, this was such a confusing fight as well, because like they both had Marines, and Kira's Marines just stopped getting healed. But then eventually they got to the point where they could overrun. And now he's got tank sieged up as well. And I don't think INnoVation is going to be able to stay in this over here. Another tank on siege just pushes forwards. These SCVs going to pull on through. Marines, tanks pressing on into this. A couple more tanks taking some damage. INnoVation is still trailing. He's now down upgrades as well, so it's going to be tough. Down upgrades, down a base. Thriller over TvT, back and forth here on Fountainhead. Really cool movement around this area here as well. I feel like there's really, an interesting part of the map. Created some interesting positions, defenses, and fights in general. I thought that was really neat. Always like it when we see some of the map features really getting a good showing in a map contest game. As INnoVation overruns this army, by the way. My goodness, down on upgrades, he don't care. Does Q just not... I think Q just didn't reinforce in time. He had a ton of medevacs as well, which again just aren't necessarily doing all that much in every single one of these fights. Wow, wow, wow. Well, that's another moment of this game being turned around here. A few more Marines of Q again pushed back, and INnoVation on a push. He's relocating his main to a 5th, so he will give himself a 5th base option. This Liberators are a problem. INnoVation, he kind of needs to get rid of them. He didn't know, you could see he didn't know what to do there. He was sieging, he was positioning the Marines to go in and dive the libs, and then he didn't unsiege the tanks. Then he was like, wait, that's not going to be good for me. So then he went to kind of save the tanks, but that means he lost 2 of them when he probably could have saved more. INnoVation going to try and fight down this round. The Liberator sieging up. You will siege his tanks. There's so many tanks of his opponent, though. INnoVation going to get crushed in another fight. As Cure just was able to reinforce with a little bit too much. Those libs are a big game changer, too, because they forced the reposition that gave Cure the edge going into this fight as well. And that's just the power of, quite simply, 2 Liberators right now. INnoVation has no answer to them at all, apart from running Marines into their range, which means they're also going to be obviously protected by siege tanks, so that obviously just does not turn out well. Here just continues on through. GG is called. Here is going to take the first game, an exciting one in the world of TvT. And that's Fountainhead. The one thing that this map does address is the idea of being able to say, like, oh yeah, we get rid of a... it gets rid of some of the spawning imbalances in terms of, keeping the rush distance higher, because it's like, well, close spawns are protected by these minerals. What it doesn't do is give people a reasonable choice of alternate bases based on spawn location. I really feel like that is just a must-have on a 4-player map. It's just problematic. I mean, so put it this way, Q, he's one up in the top right-hand side. If he wants a 3rd base, imagine Q as a Zerg player. Where do you take the 3rd base? You can't go through here early enough to take your 3rd at the time you would usually expand at. So your only option to take a 3rd is literally here, which is the base that the Terran could mine out their minerals here and walk across the map. It's like a base away from a Zerg's 3rd or something. Now that, like I said, is not as much of an issue in TvT. In TvT, you can probably have the time to mine these minerals, float your 3rd here without issue, etc. But in other matchups, I think that's way too much of a problem. And I think that's just, for me, Tidehunter just really, again, kind of failed to sort of address one of the major issues in 4-player maps, which means that for me, like, you just can't have this as a ladder map. Like, it just does not work. And the problem is, then, what else can you do? Could you maybe change where the minerals are? Could you maybe put the minerals here instead? If you put the minerals here, so they were, like, down here, I think that's probably better, because then you open up this space. So I wonder if that could maybe be a way for this to work, or a way for to help the map. But yeah, unfortunately for me, this was the map I had to rate the worst, because it just has a glaring issue, I think, is the problem. So there you go, some warty opinions on the maps as we go through our final day. Reaper of INnoVation is going to be on the map. He went 2 racks Reaper in his base, so he's going to have a pretty passive 2-rack setup. This means he can go into a pretty quick stim and just bio follow-up as well. This is one of those occasions where you can actually, sometimes you do see players like skipping the Raven stage of the game and so on, because he is unlikely to play 2-1-1. He's obviously not playing 1-1-1. This Reaper's in some trouble, and Kira realizes what's up, so he's going to lose his first Reaper of the game. Just can't really do anything there. And the problem is, he's actually built into a reactor after that first Reaper, so Kira's actually been pretty greedy on what he's been building. And so INnoVation, if he goes, might actually be able to get some sizable damage done. 1 Hellion out is the only point of defense right now for Kira. Kira is already... Did he just voluntarily bring his SCV to the high ground? Wow. He even just says, like, I don't even want to try and protect my my low ground base because I know it's just going to cause me trouble. And these SCVs are now in some trouble as well. Like I say, though, if he can buy time, these Reapers are going to pop out. Well, INnoVation gets a good first shot on the Reapers, mind you. He's going to back away now, and he's going to get himself 2 more Reapers on the way. I can't believe that Kyo just voluntarily stopped building the third, and then INnoVation stopped building the natural, and then INnoVation never went to the natural. Alright, well, it looks like INnoVation's just content to go back home. His CC is way further ahead. His factory's behind, and I think he realizes as well, if your reactor and Reapers, you might do something similar to the last game. If that happens, I want to make sure I have all my units. I don't want to lose my units trying to fight you and deal some damage. You'll need to have you counterattack and find, 2 or 3 times as much damage because I have no defense. He is a bit afraid, you can tell. He doesn't really believe in going across the map because he's afraid INnoVation's about to dive in with the counterattack. And obviously that's, again, something you want to avoid. You don't want INnoVation to suddenly just like, oh hey, popping into the main base, just dealing some damage, don't mind me. That's obviously something you definitely want to be avoiding if at all possible. Stimpak gonna be building. Command center over in the corner. Just going to be seeing a couple of SCVs continuing out at the moment. So getting all of that up and running. As you do see our Reaper Hellion force making its way down through the center of the map. It's going to be able to take that watchtower. Yeah, I mean, I just think the setup here is too good from INnoVation. I don't think there's any way you break in to deal damage. Viking even sees the units, so he sees what's there. You can obviously track them a little bit, so, on top of it all, on top of already having a good defense, you can make sure that defense is always in the right place at this point in time. He even feels super comfortable to come out and fight this. He's going to start taking a trade. He gets a little lock on, which he does get a kill with before the knockback has an effect. Now the rest of the Reapers and stuff continuing around as well. Is going to be seeing a few units of Kua going to go toward the upper right. +1 attack, +1 armor coming in off the engineering base. Kua's going to get aggressive now. INnoVation definitely having the better start to this game. Getting into a much better position to begin with. Thanks to Marines down to the center, taking that watchtower. A few more Marines coming over. Reapers still coming through as well, as we do just have the Marines going to trade out. INnoVation able to grab a kill, loses a kill. He's just trying to pick up information. He actually still has these Reapers. If these Reapers can actually be useful, that would be amazing. Running into the siege tanks here is probably not it. Yeah. The Reapers is one of those scenarios where they actually can't really easily get to the top side of the map without going through the middle. So at the moment, holding the middle of the map is pretty powerful for Kua. Because there's no counterattack, because INnoVation hasn't opened up these minerals. Yeah, might be taking that forward base, by the way, like the one towards his opponent. See how that works out. Just basically the same one that INnoVation takes, but again, it's easier for INnoVation to push into that base than it is for Kua to push into INnoVation's third. Marines, tanks, Hellions pulling back around. The Stimpak coming through from Kua in the main base. And the 1-1 upgrades continuing in as well from Inno. It's just getting those brought on through. Water turret coming up over here as the Viking comes in as well. That's a quirky fight. INnoVation's Raven went down to the Vikings. So you obviously got the Vikings with those auto turrets. Sorry for missing that interaction. That means that now INnoVation does not have... Okay, so this is where it's funny. INnoVation does not have a Raven. But what INnoVation does have is he's got the Marine Force with 1-1 against... I mean, he has like all of the bio upgrades, and Kira has Stimpak. So Kira needs to actually be the more defensive player, because he must rely on the siege tanks in these fights. Otherwise, he's going to fall into a ton of trouble. So Kira has to be a little bit more careful here, I believe. And INnoVation does. INnoVation is the one that should maybe be out on the map, trying to find those openings, trying to find those options and chances to get something done as we make a bit of a play up here already, moving on through. I see a little cancel to start us off with. On the top side, these Marines going to unload in the back of the mineral line, so quite a lot of SCVs going down. Those auto turrets taking some damage as well. It's quite a few of those auto turrets just helping to clean up, and obviously just buying some time. INnoVation loading up another drop, this time going to fly up the right-hand side of the map. 4 medevacs, tanks included. And he's going to aim for the main base, and there is nothing in position. And remember, this is 1-1 against 0-0, combat shield against no combat shield, and you're going to deny the 1-1 here, very likely. And the Ravens don't have that much energy to help break through this either. So this is a massive position for INnoVation. I actually don't think Kira can fight this, as well, those Marines realize that that isn't the fight either, but he can maybe drop on top of them if he had any medevacs. Man, this fight just isn't fair. The power of INnoVation's Marines with the upgrades they have, and those tanks obviously putting in work. INnoVation taking a massive lead. He knew his advantages in this game based off the 2 racks opener versus what his opponent did, and he absolutely played them. He knew he was the player to be aggressive. He knew Kira had to sit back, and Kira did start to sit back. Just INnoVation knew he could still be the aggressor, and he found some openings. And the drop like that obviously is massive. 20 workers down. You're now going to be 2-2 against 1-1. That means that any sort of Marine fight is just no longer a fight. You know, this is almost like saying, you know, INnoVation's Marines are like battle cruisers fighting a Marine. You know, like that is the difference that upgrades make in TvT on Marine. Units that fight, you know, fire quickly and fire a lot, for example, that you get a lot of shots off. To have a 2-2 lead is going to be crazy. The only good news is obviously tanks can shut down those Marines a little bit. That is like the only real positive here is INnoVation gets seen trying to move up here. There are medevacs. And so the turrets... He would have been there in a good time to get in before the turrets, but obviously in this case he's actually okay. Well, he's actually finally going to drop on top of these tanks and run in at the same time. And I think, my friends, he's got a little bit too much here as again 2-2 against 0-0 just ain't a fair fight. INnoVation ties this 1-1 in our best of 5. Alright guys, as we dive on into game number 3, we are going to start in the top left corner of the map with our blue Terran player from KaiZ Gaming. This is INnoVation. Bottom right, our red Terran player is going to be Cure. It's all tied up 1-1. We enter Pride of Altaris. This is a larger map. Which has not had the issue that Enchanted Isle has had, which is just it encourages super long games and no one can do anything. We'll see how it works out in a TvT where both players have been somewhat happy to sort of, you know, set up into longer situations depending on their position or their setups. Game 3 of the series as we get this up and running. What are we thinking, everyone? How are we feeling after 2 games? Are we thinking INnoVation here? Or are we thinking Cure? Let me know who you guys are cheering on, or who you guys think might take this. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you all being around and enjoying some games with us all and stuff. Hope you guys really are enjoying the action. We're having a lot of fun here. If you enjoy, hit that follow button on the stream as well. We are casting Starcraft most days. This is our final kind of like big crazy day for a little while. So we will not be casting like a bunch of 10-hour days every day again for a couple of days, but we still have content pretty much every single day. At least somewhat planned for you guys. So again, if you're enjoying the stream, hit the follow button. Helps me out a whole bunch. And come back and enjoy more StarCraft 2 in the future. Again, this is our last day at TLMC. Everything gets wrapped up today. With this match being the finals of the Korean region. And the winner of this playing the champion of Europe. showtime in the grand final best of 7. That will come up just as this series ends. Basically, we'll go pretty much right into it. 1-1 tied up, best of 5. Following a Reaper around Pride of Altaris, one of the maps from the freestyle category that has 4 layers. You've got the low ground, this ramp up into the natural, and up into the main. First time we've ever seen more than 3 heights of terrain in a map on Starcraft 2. It's one of the new things that was actually added, that you can actually now, it was added as a possibility, and you can now actually just use it. It's now encouraged to be used to actually start having it in some potential ladder maps. So I thought that was really cool, actually. I thought that was pretty neat. Big fan. Big fan, personally, of that addition. I think it's just a cool way to have had a little bit more mix-up in the maps, really. Banshee on the way this time from Q. Now, there's going to be a Raven opening from Inno. Banshees would have made a lot of sense last game when Inno opened 2 Rex Reaper. Typically, that's the situation where you don't have a Raven, you don't have detection as easily. Banshees are much more powerful against that kind of build. If you're choosing a Banshee this game around, obviously Banshees can still be good. I mean, a lot of it comes down to where the positioning is. Do you position expecting a Banshee here as a no? He doesn't go for a Cyclone. So he's going to skip the Cyclone to go into a Siege Tank. Okay. What are you guys saying in the chat? In Inno we trust because it's Inno's last tournament. Inno, of course. Cure 3-1. QS is Slaughter. Inno, go. Okay, it's kind of split down the middle. Some people want to see a bit more Inno. Some people want to see a bit more Cure. It's been an even series, to be fair. That first game was really cool. I think INnoVation controlled game 2 very well. That first game was actually really cool, back and forth stuff, and both players definitely having a good few chances of their own throughout that. What did Inno do? He built 1 Raven, so he doesn't even go into a high Raven count, but he does position it to deal with a Banshee. So it's actually very well positioned to begin with here, as we do have Banshee chilling up here. I've not seen this part of the map yet, by the way. This is a cool... I don't know what it is, but it's cool. Cool little aesthetic to mix the map up, make it look all pretty. Little swirly thing with some green pylons. I actually think this map has some really cool animations on it, like the see-through in the center. Not overdone, just a cool little addition. Yeah, it's neat, guys. This map was not one that I loved when I first saw it. Well, when I first saw this map, I was a little bit doubtful about it. But the more I've seen this map, actually, the more it's kind of grown on me. I actually have definitely become a Pride of Altaris fan, as more of these games have come around. INnoVation again, just super fast into stim pack. 1 Raven, really focus on that faster stim. And if you can catch Cure off guard, because Cure right now, if Cure is like, I think I can push, he might just get overrun by stim. Like, I actually don't think Cure's got anything to really push with. Remember, he invested into these Banshees. Now, the Banshees are going to strike kind of late, but INnoVation is set up for them as well. He's got perfect positioning for this. INnoVation is actually in a really prime position here. I don't think the Banshees are going to be a major issue. First one actually just flew into a turret and died. Second one is going to do the same. Oh my god, Cure, what was that? Both the Banshees just die. Oh, INnoVation. He's actually going to send Marines on the map in a drop. Cure is going to be kind of back towards home, at least. But that was, I mean, basically Cure just invested into 2 Banshees that did absolutely nothing. Alright, well, I know we're going to drop on the natural. He's going to push at the front. This is definitely going to be... I think Cure just dies, guys. He doesn't have stim or anything. Again, all of that investment into the Banshees to not really gain anything at all is really problematic. I love this. He's actually going to drop some Marines in the natural, some in the main. More than anything, all he really wants to do here is create a massive distraction for his main army to get up into position as well. He kills 15 SCVs already. He's going to get a couple Vikings. More SCVs dropping in the main. And here comes the main force as well, as we're going to be seeing... just isn't really much here. Combat shell. Oh my god, he's just going to auto turret. We're just going to fight this. One tank sieges high ground, but that will be about it. Okay, I know didn't actually get as far forward there as I thought he might. He will get a siege tank kill on the high ground. And he's still going to own this natural ramp, right? And it's going to be a difficult break for Kira, who finally has stim at least, by the way. And he does have air control, Kira, so that is a positive as well. Another drop in the main base. INnoVation going to keep up the pressure. He could maybe make a play for some of those Vikings, try and offset the air advantage. Just going to try and pull it back and pull units further away, I suppose. Yeah, no, just going to load up another drop. Is he going to try and drop on top of these tanks? There's Marines there, though. He unsieged, he resieges. I think I know how to plan. Kira's not sending his SCVs back to mine for a few moments. And again, those are the little things that add up over time here. Those are the things that become problematic very quickly. Few more SCVs just producing. He's going to edge the tanks forward, but oh, what a timing for Kira to bring the Raven through to get a bit more vision. He loses 2 tanks and he only kills 1. That's Inno. About to finish 1-1. Obviously, third base up and running. Needs to be a little careful of potential counterattacks from Kira. Kira's not doing anything yet. What Kira is doing is getting these libs up, so he finally has a way to break out of this position. So he will begin to do that with the Liberators. I mean, might be slow progress, though. The problem is, how do you get the tanks to probably support these Liberators? I think that's going to be tough, as Inno just going to go for it. And Matrix is one of the tanks? No, that wasn't it. There's just zero reason to attack, right? Like, it makes no sense. The medevac that lifts a tank goes down. That was horrible. I mean, you've got the base advantage. You've got your opponent contained. If your opponent has a way to break out of that contain, you do not need to go and fight him. That was disappointing, actually. I'm on the Inno hype train. I want to see him get to the grand finals, but yeah, I mean, that just wasn't it at all. He had zero reason to commit to the fight. I don't know why he thought he would win the fight. The libs are there. His opponent's already sieged. He dropped like 1 Matrix. Like, 1 Matrix isn't going to change that game. Tank forced to unsiege. He saves it, but I mean, to what extent? I mean, Kira's going to run up. Doesn't even have combat shields. Like, the INnoVation had so many advantages in this game. Kira going to take the lead in the series 2-1. As he breaks out. But more, I gotta say, honestly, I think more INnoVation messing up than Kira. You know, Kira did the right did. Following the opening was really exactly what you were meant to do, too. That's just a disappointing loss. Alright, bottom right side, our blue Terran player here is Kira. Taking on our bottom left, red Terran INnoVation. Game 4 of this best of 5. Can Inno tie us up? Can he take us to game 5, or are we going to be saying goodbye to INnoVation here? Maybe the last time we ever get to cast him. Alright, so waiting for this game to set up. We get close spawns on Jacaranda. I think Jacaranda is the other 4-player map which I'm more favorable towards. So I think this and Undercity are both better contenders for a 4-player map than Tidehunter and the other map, Bulwark. TvT, guys, I see a lot of people discussing in the chat. I mean, it's one bad decision more than anything else. It's the one decision where he believes he can fight there and he can't. Like, that one decision costs you the game, and that's just as brutal as TvT is going to be, you know? TvT really can just be that brutal sometimes. So again, close by ground spawns. We'll see how the players handle this time around. Like I say, I think a 3-base over here for Inno is nice. 3-base here is fine for Cure. I don't think this map is so bad necessarily. For kind of, having a choice of 3rd bases. I think this map's alright. I don't... It feels still hard to tell exactly kind of how this map would play. And, once players get a lot more used to it, maybe there's some positions which are much stronger. As Inno is on Cure's side of the map and nearly got that Reaper kill. 2 Hellions just popped out though, so it definitely is a time where he wants to keep on running. He doesn't want to go and actually, try and stick around in the base. So Hellions going to come straight across the map, and that means INnoVation only has a couple Marines to really defend against this, so trying to hold this off. Just going to be seeing the Hellions able to get rid of one Reaper, a couple of SCVs taking some damage, and just going to be having our... Yeah, I mean, at least able to push this back. Not the worst then. The Reaper here is going to try and get a Hellion as well. It doesn't quite. So INnoVation loses a couple other units. So losing the early duel. Medevac on the way from Cure, so maybe looking to get some damage done with the Hellion drop into INnoVation's main base would be the current expectation. The SCVs pull in to repair that Hellion up. Just going to be seeing the Cyclone about halfway done from Cure 2. What's INnoVation got at home? A good spread of Marines in the main, so he's got a really good read on the game, honestly. He's got a really good read as to what's going on. This medevac of Hellions comes across and you're unloading the natural. I mean, obviously, at least there's a siege tank here. INnoVation has to have a defense in both places. You don't know where the medevac's coming from, right? And this was a pretty good defense in both places. Really, 4 SCVs only. He has one more now at the end as the low HP SCV went to build the depot. Nothing's actually really covering the building depot. The tank does kind of reach. At the very end as now the Marines come forward. Nicely done. The medevac of Cure continuing. Cross over that right-hand side. And Raven is just on the way up here as well from Cure, so getting this up and running. The Hellions unloading, setting up in that natural. Just going to be seeing the army collecting together. Engineering bays, racks, all of this continuing through at the moment as we get ourselves set on up. Yeah, those engineering bays will be done in a few moments' time. So 1-1 can start. INnoVation going to start taking a bit of a bio lead, but look at the supplies. Cure just has a lot of army supply over INnoVation. Let's just have a moment or two of calm here. Thank you very much, Slaza, for the $50 donation, dude. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much for supporting the stream as always, Dud Buddy. Appreciate you being here year after year. Also, thank you so much to Azzy Online for the 9-month resub on the Prime and Shamsy on the 3-year resub. Hope you're doing well as also, mates. Appreciate it. Marines tank and a Raven going to take the couple of steps forward, chasing away the first couple of units, but Cure is just already coming across this map. Gonna see tanks already sieging up. First Matrix goes down, as we're actually gonna see he's just gonna commit in, right? Second Matrix goes down. I don't like the tank that he Matrix second, because I almost feel as though that's the tank which was gonna just... It was already kind of just gonna die anyway, but then I guess what else? Maybe he could have just saved the Matrix for this tank in the back right now. I mean, this is 3 tanks against 1, guys. Kira is on his way in. 1 Matrix goes down. INnoVation's going to attempt an auto turret. He'll break down 1 tank. So there's only 1 tank active right now, but it's just not doing it. Kira's army supply is a bit too much, and Kira is going to come on through. INnoVation going to be kicking himself for the mistake he made in map 3. That game was meant to be his, and now he's pulling SCVs on map 4. We're going to say goodbye to INnoVation in his last ever WardiTV tournament. A sad way to fall, especially after being ahead in that game 3. It kind of felt like he might have been able to go all the way. But Hero's going to go back-to-back map contest tournament finals. $25 workers killed for INno. He's just going to try and stay in it a little bit. Marines, Cyclone tanks continuing to fire up a storm here. That orbital command is going to take a little bit more damage. Just going to be seeing that Marines continue through. Ravens do get broken down. Can INnoVation, well, he loses the natural expansion, so even if you break out of this, does it really do enough for you? Probably not. The Vikings unload one more time, or they land one more time. GG, says INnoVation, and Q will go to the grand finals to play against Showtime in what should be a pretty fun best of 7 TvP.